Justin, when you're facing a team that's down these playmakers, you never want to as a competitor kind of like underestimate who's coming up. But like, how do you just adjust to a team that's losing such important pieces? And I'm sure that's players that have been all over their tape.
Yeah. First of all, anytime anyone goes down to injuries, it's a part of the game. But you hate to see it. And, especially guys that you admire and respect. Mike and Chris have been doing it at a high level for a long time, especially Mike. And, it's tough to see guys go down. But with that being said, man, over my career, like being in locker rooms where some of your top guys go down and, the message that's preached is, it's an opportunity for the next guy to solidify themselves and to earn, a more prominent position, whether it's offensively, defensively, doesn't really matter. And so, knowing that, Tampa's going to have the offense ready to go and they're going to do what they do well. And Baker's playing at a high level. They've been running the ball really well, and they still got an elite talent from a skill position standpoint. So for us, man, it's making sure that we don't get locked in on any of the outside noise of saying, oh, they're down this guy, they're down that guy, but still playing our keys and knowing that it's going to be a tough division game going down to Tampa to go win a football game.
Yeah, and speaking of that, their slogan that Raheem has started to outrun the South thing, it's T-shirts and everything. What does that exactly mean? Because like everybody's trying to win their division and win their division games. How do you kind of conceptualize that? What he's saying there when he says outrun the South? Yeah,
really good question. I think for me, and kind of let's preach to the team, man, is it's not just about winning the game and the games will be close. It's not anything about that, like outrun them in terms of like score or anything like that. But really, man, like outrunning the South, like man, just distancing ourselves. Like it's not just like a 100-meter race, right? Like you're in this 400-meter mile, like it's a long distance race here, and we need to outrun the South. Not worry about week in and week out what it looks like, but just keep our head down and outrunning every single moment of every single week. And at the end of the season, man, we'll look up and we'll see where we're at. That to me is kind of the mentality, not keeping track every, 100 meters looking back like, okay, where are we at, but just outrun everybody, and we'll figure it out at the end.
And the last one for me, Jesse was talking about, just the respect that he has for Baker Mayfield. And I'm sure that his juices are flowing going into this one, considering he's down these receivers, just the competitor that he is. What have you kind of noticed from him throughout his career, and what do you respect about his play?
Yeah, I've always respected Baker, and obviously he's had success in Tampa, and man, happy for him. From a personal standpoint, getting to know him over the years. But I've respected him even when he was kind of like bouncing around. There's a few times I played him when he was at Cleveland. Always respected his game, always the way that he presented himself, the competitor that he is. And, obviously now seeing that come to fruition in Tampa. So I also have nothing but the utmost respect for him and his playmaking ability. And I think he has that leadership quality that just like rallies guys and brings them along. I think that's a very unique trait to have, and he has that. So that's one of the reasons why, going into this game, like, it's going to be a dogfight. Baker's mentality and attitude, I think the offense reflects that well, and their want-to-itness, if I can use that word, to go win football games. And so we know this is going to be an extreme challenge for us going into a hostile environment, and one that, we as a team and a defense are looking forward to executing on.
Justin, you've always been pretty candid when it comes to things going well and then things happening that are not up to your guys' standards.
Yeah.
So when you have a game like you did on Sunday, what's important for you as a leader to make sure not only you recognize, hey, we didn't do some things that were that great, but we need to flip the page, we have an important game on Sunday?
Yeah, no, that's the biggest thing. And I think making sure over the years and having multiple conversations and, in the locker room, when you win, you want to make sure that, you celebrate that win, but it's still that 24-hour rule. So the same thing with a loss, right? And so we'll go back, we'll watch the film like we did on Monday, and you got to watch it, the good and the bad. And you just got to go through it and mentally take yourself through the reps, like when you had bad plays, like what exactly happened? Was it a mental error? Was it a physical error? Was I locked in on my details? Those are the things that you focus on so that you don't make the mistake again. It's not a just a watch it, move on. Like, no, let's watch it, let's dissect it. What exactly happened? Put yourself in your shoes, and then let's learn from that and then grow. And so that's the biggest key there. So for us as a team, watch the tape. Yep, it was a bad loss. It was a tough loss. Scratch that. All about Tampa. Moving on to really Tuesday and then Wednesday, our first prep day as a team. So.
Kind of uncharacteristic that there's a game with this much at stake this early in the season, talking about 2 games up in the division, really setting yourself up in the driver's seat. Would you prefer it to be this early in the season, or do you want it to play out a little bit longer?
Yeah, I honestly would prefer it earlier in the season, right? I think, the good teams week in and week out know that they're going to get the best from other teams, right? Like, teams that are sitting at the top of the division or at the top of a conference, like week in and week out, you're going to get the other team's best ball. And so why I think that's important is because you'll always find ways of adversity, right? Like when we were, 3 out of the 4 games that we won, there's down to the wire. What are we made of? Are we going to win those games? Are we going to lose those games? Find ways to win those games, right? And so I think that's really good to have earlier on, because down the road, when you're in those games and people are fighting for playoff spots, you are fighting for division, first place, second place, whatever the case may be, you've been in those dogfights and you understand what those look like, and you're going to come out on top because you put in the work prior. So those are important to me, for us as a team. And to answer your question, I think it's important to have these games early and to see what we're made of.
You mentioned communication was lacking in the last one. Just how have you been more intentional about that this week?
Yeah, it's really just not assuming. I think at times when you go out there and you line up and you're playing ball, there's a lot of times where things are assumed because it may be just like an entry level play design, and you just may assume that what the other guy's doing, and the communication may be lacking. And so those are the things that really talking about, right, and not assuming. In the same way when I was coming here, kind of like the last week of training camp and saying, I need to get caught up to speed. I need to be, asking the questions. Guys are filling me in on like what this means, what that means, what they're seeing, how we're seeing it as a collective unit. That approach needs to be the same way week in and week out, not just a couple weeks, we've had a couple solid games where we didn't give up any explosives, so we're good. No, week in and week out. And I think, those are learning lessons for us as a unit, right, especially myself. So, that's something that, we took a look at this week. We corrected, we fixed. And, football is also an imperfect game. So sometimes, they get paid too, and they're going to make their plays. But the things that we can control, we'll do a better job at that. And that's what I meant, is we fix those things and we'll be better moving forward.
Yeah, and you mentioned turning the page. I'm in the Tuesday meeting that you all typically have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it turning the page, let's look to Tampa, or was it let's look in the mirror and what happened last week?
Yeah, so like Monday is the day that it's like, let's look in the mirror, and as a collective, there's no finger pointing. It's just, let's look in the mirror. What could you have done better? What could you have controlled better? What could you have contributed better? Look at it from a whole perspective of what we could have did better as a defensive unit, and then you just wipe your hands clean and you move on with those lessons that you learned, and so that you don't. And I know a few people have gotten up here and talked about it, but you don't want to lose to the same team twice. And all that means is, Tampa's going to look at that film. They may take some things from it, and what you don't want to do is like what we don't want to do is have that loss from Seattle linger all week, and then you go into Tampa and you're carrying that baggage with you. Just like a win, you take that, you watch the film, it was great to win, wipe your hands clean, you move on to next week. Same thing with the loss. And so there's great veteran presence here, leadership here, and that's from top down, coaches, GM, all the way down to us players. That's not the mindset that guys have. It's a new week, new opportunity, and excited for that chance in Tampa.
Yeah, and the Tuesday meetings, is that still led by Jesse? And I'm just curious, I know that was the case last year, but with the leadership that you two have, have you gone into that at all with them?
Yeah, I see what you're asking. Yeah, so Tuesdays, Tuesdays like it's a new day. Technically it's your player's day off, but yeah, Tuesdays, Jesse leads a meeting where we meet DBs, linebackers, and just try to get a head start on the opponent. So obviously Tampa this week, so we breaking down a little bit of Tampa, watched a little bit of our game, watched the Ravens game when they played them on Monday night, and just trying to get a feel, right? Just what did they do that was the same? What are they doing that's different? Where are they plugging in new guys? How are they creating plays? These are problem plays for us. What we're going to do here, right? It's just an extra couple hours of us communicating instead of like having it led by the coaches. It's being player led, right? And so Jesse does a really good job orchestrating that, and yeah.
Winfield will be back for this one. I'm just curious for looking at it from the position, like what makes him so good?
Yeah, I think he's dynamic in multiple roles, right? I think not a lot of guys can do that. So he's down by a line of scrimmage. He's a pass rush wrecker, just like an outside linebacker. He gets to the quarterback and gets some sacks, TFLs, and then obviously he also, knowing that, you could slide protection to him and things like that, and it opens up opportunities for other guys, and then he drops in coverage. He's able to cover. He's a really good zone reader, so he can feel the offensive routes, the play design, and can get his hands on the ball, can also play deep. There's multiple levels to his game, which makes him one of the best in the league. And so, again, not a lot of guys can do that, and it's a testament to him. So, I have nothing but respect for him. Watching him especially grow over the years, was a fan of his when he was coming out of Minnesota. And so, yeah, he's a heck of a player.
How are things going, man? How you feeling? Everything going pretty well?
Pretty well. New week. Obviously, it sucked losing last week, but it's a new week to get better and, come out and get a win this week.
You had 7 receptions this past weekend. Second time in 3 weeks you've had that in total. Do you feel like you've gotten more comfortable now in this offense with Kirk?
I would just say just execution in general as offense. Just, me trying to play my part and, contributing any way I can in this offense.
What was the learning curve, for you, because it's a new offense, new quarterback? What was like the most difficult things to kind of figure out?
I mean, everybody's just, learning each week, each day. Everybody in the playbook is, constantly evolving and just playing fast.
How different for you is this offense compared to what you played previously in Atlanta?
A lot of 11 personnel, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Art was a big couple tight ends on the field at one time, so that's pretty different. And, that's probably it.
You like the new setup?
It's different. It's a whole different team, whole different, mindset and type of game plan.
Do you feel like you've been able to kind of wrap your head around it now going into week 8?
Obviously it's different. Like I said, for the first couple of years it's been like, 12 and 13, but it's just a whole new team and, we run things different, essentially getting back to the same thing.
How's the chemistry involved with you and Kirk?
Like I said kind of previously, just each week is getting better with everybody's offense, just chemistry in general, just trying to go out there and execute.
Kelly, you talk about shifting to a little bit more of 11 personnel. What's the benefit of that for you, and why do you I don't know if you prefer it or not, but why do you like playing in 11 personnel?
Because there's a lot of fast people around me, so they kind of take some of the other fast DBs around, so, just matchups wise.
When you were having those conversations with Zach at the beginning of the year, was it something that you were really excited about, the fact that you were going to be involved in that a little bit more?
It'd just be different. Just, I was excited to learn and see how, the difference between like 13 and 12 is different from 11.
What's the biggest thing you've learned from Zach Robinson so far?
Just a steady, even keel guy. Every day doesn't really change, and he's very smart.
Yeah, on things, it was interesting when Kirk kind of brought it up yesterday. And talking about conversations he's had with you about it. Are there like different keys you're reading and stuff? Like when you're in 11 versus 12, are you getting like different looks? I assume you're getting kind of different fronts and stuff from defenses. That is an adjustment, I guess.
I would say just kind of with it being like base versus nickel. Obviously, different personnel out there on the field. Either bigs or extra DBs on the field. Just seeing who's guarding who and how by the ball snap.
Has it helped you to just play with Kirk so that he can give you feedback from a quarterback's perspective, and as just a quarterback who's kind of been around the block a little bit, a little older, probably similar to the way Matt was, honestly?
Yeah, definitely. He's seen a lot of ball, a lot of different good players and different teams. So just to hear him and how he depicts it is pretty cool.
Talk about reading different defenses, the way that they are in different coverages. How much do you feel like that part of your game has evolved at this point in your career?
Definitely through the years is it's getting better each year and playing faster and just being able to read it quicker. That's obviously it helps you play faster. So and also having Kirk back there help and during the week help you with that. It kind of helps you play faster and see what he sees so that you can play.
You just mentioned Kirk. I mean, is there anyone else that's really helped you kind of dissect these defenses a little bit better each year?
Yeah, my tight end coach, other receivers, just everybody's offense. We're just trying to do it as one.
When you have a loss like you guys did on Sunday, what's the most important thing for you guys to just either get rid of it or acknowledge it and look ahead to Tampa?
Yeah, watch it, correct the mistakes, and then flush it, and go into this new week now.
For 3 years now, I feel like everybody's wanted to know what's going on with Kyle Pitts, good or bad. Every week we ask you basically these same questions a lot. I wonder how you process it. I mean, do you get aggravated with it? Do you get aggravated with us? How do you, in your daily life, process a situation if it's a situation?
I would just say it comes with being in this league, being in this profession. I mean, it is what it is. I was blessed to be, drafted at 4, so people will be asking, like I said, good or bad. So it doesn't really bother me. I know it comes with it.
Did you realize when you were drafted at 4 that it came at that moment? Did you? You're probably thinking, lifelong dream. Realized I'm, happy. But did you realize at that moment it does come with some of this?
Yeah.
Or did you have to learn, these last 3 years that okay, this is part of being where I was?
Not when I got drafted. I didn't really know like the severity of it. But over time and talking to different vets, they told me kind of helped me pave the way and show like how it happens. The different levels of people who go through that type of stuff.
Do you get aggravated with it? Are there moments when you're like,
it just comes with it.
Answer this question again. I'm gonna,
No, I don't get aggravated. No.
You like this unicorn nickname that you've been that's been bestowed upon you?
It is what it is.
Where did that come from? Who
I don't know. I think it started in college, like
Yeah.
My last year at Florida.
Yeah.
Do people give you like unicorn things, like the little ceramic unicorns or stickers? I'm just like my friends would like give me unicorn stickers all the time just to bust my chops.
Sometimes in the mail you'll see stuff like that, but not really though.
Put on your laptop, like I got my
Oh yeah.
little unicorn stickers everywhere.
I wouldn't put it on my laptop. Yeah.
No judgment. Do you feel like where you were drafted, did that kind of set almost unfair expectations in a sense?
No. I thank Art and Terry for doing that, and I was blessed with it, and I didn't really put myself on any expectations that I wouldn't be able to fulfill. So I just take my goals and try and achieve them each year.
We were in training camp, and I asked you. We were talking about Penix, and I was like, he's a young guy, and you're like, I'm younger than Michael Penix, and I think people forget like actually how young you are. Like you have to remind people like, I'm 23, bro. Like
24.
24. Well, now you're 24. Penix is a few months older than you.
Yeah, definitely is. He's older than me.
Yeah. So do you feel like I'm still like there's a lot of time left for me. Like I'm still figuring things out. I'm 24.
I can say I put some stripes on the wall, so it's not really he's seen a lot of ball too as well. So it's not really we don't really bring up age in this locker room.
Okay, fair enough.
Kyle, how do you feel like the offense is progressing? Because again, go back to something Kirk was saying. I think at the beginning of the season, or maybe in training camp, it was like you find out who you are, or you know who you are when you face certain situations in games, and you just like the whole team kind of knows like what kind of concepts you're going to go with in certain situations, and be confident in those. Do you feel like you're progressing towards that? You don't have to say like what it might be or whatever, but you feel like there's more kind of continuity with the offense versus where it was in that Steelers game?
Yeah, definitely. From week 1 to now, it's been progressive, immensely. And just, like in the Philly game, just going down in that drive, and then the last Tampa game, just us having that, belief as an offense and as a team that we'll go down and score is pretty cool to see.
Random question of the day. Is there something like that you're cheap about? Is there something sort of random in daily life that you're cheap about?
Ubers.
How do you say you're always like the lowest price one?
Maybe an X, depending on how far I'm going. If it's far, I need leg room, so I'll probably get a truck. But if it's like a 10-minute ride, I'll hop in an X.
So I don't even know like the levels. There's like a premium, right?
It's like X, it's comfort, black SUV, then it's black premium, I think.
Oh, so you're never doing any of those?
No, I am.
Yep.
Just depending on how far the ride is.
Are you taking Ubers often, or are you?
If it's like 5 minutes, I'll hop in the X because it's like $10, $20.
Right. But you've had to squeeze into a car before, I'm assuming.
One time, yeah. But it wasn't a long ride.
I got a random reaction you get from an Uber driver. I would imagine they show up and,
Well, my name isn't my name on Uber.
it isn't or is.
No, it's not.
Right. So they show up and they're like, do you ever get that? Or
I just put my head down and listen to my music, or I'm on the phone, so don't really give them a chance for that couple minute ride.
What's your
You
name?
get
on
the
Uber?
no-talk
Raheem
option.
Morris, or-
No, I can't. It's an alias. It's a secret.
Okay. Okay, so if Kyle Pitts was one of those Uber, is he a VIP? Is he an Uber XL?
Oh, yeah, I would probably say I'm a black comfort.
You're a Black Comfort.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Chill vibes, good music.
Yeah. What about
Get you to your
Kyle Pitts,
point.
the NFL football player, the tight end?
Compared to Uber?
Yeah, like is it a premium? Is it?
Yeah, I'll definitely say premium. Yeah, for sure. Black truck premium, the highest one. Where you got to wear a suit, very elegant,
Yeah.
professional.
Are you rating?
All right.
6-star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, y'all?
Yeah.
Oh.
Kyle, this Sunday is a National Tight Ends Day. Can you talk a little bit about the role of the tight end, how it's evolved in the league, particularly with the rise of the more athletic and versatile players?
It's a great holiday. It's almost like Christmas. It's a holiday for our position. But just seeing like Travis and George and Shannon Sharp and all those guys just grow from pass catchers to really somebody who's they went from left tackle to kind of pass catchers in very prominent offenses. So it's pretty cool to see just everybody just going out scoring and catching balls and celebrating.
Better numbers, better pressure rates, get the quarterback down more. That's what I came here for. So,
What does that look like specifically?
we'll know what it look like when we see it.
Yeah.
Right now, we just haven't seen it, but it just looked like us out there just having more fun, being more productive, getting to the passer on third downs, critical moments, affecting the game.
More generically, what's your transition personally been like? I mean, you're uprooting your life. You're here. It's all happening on the fly. Do you feel,
Yeah. No, I feel very comfortable. Everything's different. I got to get my rhythm, routine. But by week 7, I probably got that down. And so just for real, I feel comfortable here. It's all right.
on the random question front? I wonder if there's anything specific that you're cheap about in your personal life.
I'm cheap.
Yeah, are you cheap? Is there something specific in your life that you're like, like Drake won't pay to get the ads removed on Hulu. Like he won't.
Oh.
That's like for him. He's like, I'm not paying $14.99 a month.
Man, he can pay that. But
I know. That's my point.
dang.
Is there something random in your life that you're like, I'm just not?
Man,
paying?
I hate giving money away. So I'm cheap about everything.
Are you?
Yeah, man. I be trying to, stack as much money. I got kids and stuff, so stack as much money. Something that I feel like on the vice versa, like, I pay to eat good. So,
Right. Oh, that's you got it.
so I mean, everything besides eating.
Everything besides eating.
Yeah, I'm kind of cheap. Yeah.
On another topic, and this is a weird question maybe. I'm trying to illustrate how strong NFL linemen are, offensive and defensive linemen are. I think we get it, we know, but we don't really get it. And I wonder if there are stories in your life that illustrate, whether it's you go to parties and people are asking you to move a couch, or you see something in real regular life, just like a regular dude, and you're like, it doesn't make sense.
So, I mean, me and Marlon used to do like a yard sale. So after every year, we'd just like give away like everything in our locker, or sell it for like a fraction of the price.
Like at your house?
Yeah, we'll do it like at a neutral site,
Okay.
so people wouldn't line
Right.
up at our house.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But at one time, like he wanted to give away a couch, so we had to get this couch out of his townhome, and like the stairs was kind of tight, so we was throwing it out the window. And then some people was gonna catch it at the bottom. But I look around and I'm the only one holding the couch up. Like Marlon just watching me like, I'm like, Marlon, bro, help out. But we pretty strong. And I feel like offensive linemen way more strong because they can eat whatever they want and they just put up a bunch of weight. So it's a lot of strong people in the league.
Do you think that we, regular folks, get it, understand it?
I don't think so. I think the people that used to play football kind of understand it, or somebody that's kind of been around it, they know it's abnormal. But I don't know if y'all like quietly, fully understand to get the gist.
I wonder if have you ever been in a party and somebody was like, rush me or hit me, or like somebody who thinks that they can hold up.
Nah, I mean, drunk folks say stuff all the time, but I mean, you don't never do it, and then stuff like that, you kind of see that, like, people like this be like overly nice. They be like, they always try to diffuse situations because they know like how strong they is, or like how they can how they can get. So I think it's just our job. It's our job to be that strong. So we take pride in it.
Do you feel like kind of your running ability has kind of helped with some of the mobile quarterbacks you guys had for the scout team?
Yeah, man, definitely. I remember like throughout the weeks, there's some teams that, like, when we were playing the Chiefs, I'm like scrambling back and forth with Pat Mahomes with that playmaking ability, and like just different quarterbacks like that. Jalen Hurts can scramble, just trying to just mimic as close as I can to those guys. The other defense be prepared for us.
I know you probably would like to be on the field, but has it been the pace? I mean, do you feel like you're not rushed into anything?
Yeah, man, I'm great. I feel like I'm in a comfortable spot. I'm excited for where I'm at. Where I'm going to be. So just continue to grow and get better each and every day. That's my mindset. And like I said, I just got to be ready.
I know you're probably asked about it, but just getting in last week, getting some snaps, and a real game. What was that like?
It was great. It was fun. Obviously it wasn't on the side that I wanted to get in. Hopefully next time, we blowing the team out, and then it's like, all right, now you can get in instead of being on the other side. But, it was good to be able to get those first snaps.
What's it feel like going home? Did you go to many Bucs games as a kid? I mean, what's this going to be like this weekend?
Yeah, I can only remember like one Bucs game I ever been to. I didn't really go to any games growing up, but, it's exciting to go home. I'll see a lot of family, after the game and stuff like that. So I'm super excited for it.
Is there a large ticket request?
I'm not sure. I only got one ask so far, but, I don't know.
Yeah, and physically, how are you?
The same as everybody. You're never not beat up after the first snap of practice.
Right.
Back in camp, so sort of like everybody, pushing through it, just working for game day.
Gotcha. Well, listen, what would you say? I mean, there's always things when you guys look back at film. Your point is to take the good and throw away everything else and get ready to move forward into the next week. What were the things that you guys could take away from last week's loss that you could use moving forward?
Well, it's kind of like every week. You did some things better than others, and things you didn't do well, you want to do better this time.
Right.
And it's an oversimplification, but that's kind of it, man. Just trying to improve on our mistakes and make less of them.
Right, I got you. Well, obviously, you guys are going up against a divisional opponent this week. You've played the Bucs before. I don't know if you got a chance to check out the Monday night game with them and the Ravens. Did you see that game? No. Okay, gotcha. So what are you expecting going into this week against the Bucs?
Everything usual. They're a tough physical team. They're disciplined. They play good football. It's going to be tough, just like last time.
Got it. And offensively, what are your keys, that you guys are primarily focusing on understanding this particular defensive front that they're bringing?
Just trying to execute, man. Execute as effectively and efficiently as possible.
Got it. How do you feel about the way that the chemistry has developed over the last 8 weeks with the O-line as well as with your new quarterback?
Good as could be expected. It's not always going to be perfect, especially, from the get-go, but it's going to improve over time, and I think it has, and I think things are coming along well.
Sure. And obviously, you guys don't ever want to look too far ahead. I know you take it 1 week at a time, but with this being a divisional game and you all having the opportunity to take a firm, stronghold in first place in the division, how does that have any impact on how you go into this game?
I mean, of course, it's always exciting playing a divisional opponent, and once you get into the second round of division play, then the stakes really climb. So
you're looking forward to that. All
Absolutely.
Right, good deal.
Well, the question is, where are you all at with your pass rush?
Yes. Okay. So, not only with pass rush, I mean, with all of our stuff, with tackling, getting off blocks, being more ball aware, everything is a process, and we're trying to get better every single day. We are evolving. We're still trying to grow and develop in all areas, and that's what the journey of a football season is. We put all these guys together, coaches, staff, players, and we're continually trying to grow and develop every single day. And everybody has a growth mindset, and they're putting in the work, and we're just going to continue with our process, and we know the results will come. And we don't look down and stare down at what a stat sheet says on how many this and how many that and how many that. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to win football games, and we're trying to, the first thing we're trying to outrun the South and win the South and try to secure a playoff spot. And so, individual statistics and all those things, those are extracurricular stuff that's off to the side. The number one thing we're trying to do is get the ball back for our offense, make sure they score less points than our team scores, which would mean we would win at the end of the day.
Could you discuss Damone Harris? He was up last week, and James Smith-Williams. They were active for you.
Yeah. Well, let's start with Damone. Damone, got his first action right there and played really, really well. We were not surprised because he'd been showing it in practice. He earned the right to go out there and get some reps. We had been seeing him for weeks now. He played excellent in training camp, the preseason games. We thought it was a player that we knew would contribute at some point. We didn't know when that was going to be. We were really happy with his performance. Always things to work on, and Demo would say the same thing. But I'm excited to see his development continue as he gets more reps. And then, yes, James, loved his – you talked about pressures and sacks. I loved his sack that he had. It was an awesome power rush. Took advantage of an op right there. That was a big play in the game. And James has played physical for us in the run game. He's a power rusher in the pass game. Really like where he's at, and he'll continue to develop as well.
And Matthew and Arnold, how are they fitting into the pass rush scheme and things?
Yeah, extremely well. Yeah, both guys are. I know, stat-wise, I'm sure, Judon has more stats than AK at this point, but AK had some excellent rushes these last couple of games that didn't show up on a stat sheet. Extremely close, forced some balls out, especially 2 games ago against Carolina where, I know Dalton didn't want to get rid of the ball as fast as he had to because AK was breathing down his neck. And then also AK had some really good rushes this last game as well versus Seattle. So again, his process, both those guys' process is the right way. They're working at it. And I think as we just continue to move forward here, you'll continue to see more exact stats that you guys want on those computers right there.
Caden Ellis, according to stats here, he's rushed blitz 23 times and he's got some quarterback hits. How's he doing it? What do you call him to be a part of the pass rush?
Yeah, I mean he's we played 7 games now it is. He forced the interception in the Philadelphia game with his pass rush. That was the game-sealing victory right there. Forced the interception on his pass rush against Kansas City Chiefs, against Mahomes. And so, that didn't go down as a statistic on the laptop right there. But the pressure, the quarterback got rid of it, and we got turnovers because of the result of it. And so even though Caden Ellis doesn't have a sack number, his pressures have caused a lot of big plays that are in our favor. And Caden's he's an excellent off-the-ball linebacker, but he has a skill set as a guy that can pass rush from off the ball, but also on the line of scrimmage, which you've seen him do both, and he'll continue to do that throughout this season.
What would it mean to get Troy Anderson back?
Yeah, I don't have that timeline in front of me. That would probably be a better question for Raheem. I know he's working hard to get back, and he's scratching and clawing, but that'd be a better question for Raheem.
How do you plan for the Bucs in this first week after they lose Evans and Godwin? How do you envision it going? How do you sort of try to predict how they're going to respond?
Yeah, well, first of all, prayers to both those guys. Those 2 players are excellent football players, big-time football players that are awesome for this league. And, those are 2 unfortunate injuries. But the National Football League is a competitive league, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to have the next man up, and they're going to have that next man up ready to go. And that player, whoever that is chomping at the bit, and here's his opportunity. And so how we prepare is we're preparing that they're going to have two guys ready to go, and they're going to try to give it their all to make it their way in this league. And that's how all 32 teams are. These are the most competitive coaches, most competitive players in football, and we would expect nothing less than their best. So they're going to have two guys that are frothing at the mouth to come out there and go out there and make plays and make a name for themselves.
Coach, what more have you learned about the Bucs offense, both from reviewing your last game film as well as their Monday night game?
Yeah, explosive offense. I think Baker Mayfield is playing his best football he's played his whole career, and he played really good football, when he was in Cleveland as well, and obviously in LA and his other spots. But I think he's playing at a really high level. I think Liam is doing an excellent job. Their offensive coordinator is doing an excellent job of keeping defenses on their toes. He's changed it up. He has different plans from week to week. Changed the picture for the defense. They play with really good tempo. Balance of run to pass. They have a three-headed monster with a running attack, and then Baker will throw it to everybody. He'll throw it to his running backs in the screen game or out on the perimeter. Obviously, the receivers. Cade Otton had a huge game Monday night. I obviously know Cade very, very well, being with him for so long up at Washington. So I know what a great football player he is, and so ultimate respect for what Liam has done to that offense, and Baker Mayfield leading that offense and the weapons that he has around him.
Going back to Cade for a second, just to hone in on him, he did have a career day on Monday. What is he capable of? You've been around him so much, so tell us what he's capable of.
I have. He is. He's one of those guys that you want on your football team. If you want him to block all 64 plays, he would block, and he wouldn't say one word about it. But all of a sudden, if he's in the progression in the pass game, he is going to fight tooth and nail to try to get that ball and wrestle it away from the defender. He's got good speed. He's got good eyes, catch radius. Really, really smart. I got a tremendous respect for him, and love the player, love the human being, and I was really excited for Monday. But let's dial that back on Sunday. Let's not have such a big game. Let's dial that back, and then he can revert back to his Monday Night Football self after we play him.
Going back to Caden Ellis on your team. I was talking to Justin Simmons about him a couple of weeks ago. He said what he does is so impressive, and it kind of goes unnoticed in the large scheme of things a lot, because he's so versatile and being asked to do a lot, especially with so many linebackers coming in and out. How versatile is Caden, and how much does he do for this defense?
Yeah, he's our green dot. So he calls all the plays, makes a lot of adjustments. He's played every single snap of our 2024 season. And like I mentioned before, he plays off the ball linebacker, where we're asking him to read the run, drop in pass coverage, or maybe he's blitzing and hitting a gap, or we're asking him to line up on the line of scrimmage and rush a tackle, rush a guard, or get up on the line of scrimmage and then drop to a different zone. And so he has a lot on his plate, and he loves it. He loves it. He breathes it. He studies it. And he's one of those football players that you always want to be around, because he makes everybody else better around him with his communication and his engagement into what the game plan is.
It did feel like you guys were getting a lot more pressure on Sunday. When you go back and you review the film, what did you like about the way that they were able to provide a little bit more pressure?
Yeah, there's no question. I think it's been a progression all year long, and I know the stats don't bear it out, but our players have gotten better and better from week one until last week. It's on the come. The process is going, and you can feel it, and pretty soon the results are going to happen. And so, yeah, we're extremely happy with it, but we always want more. We're coaches, and the players do too. We're competitive, and we want more. We want more. We get any turnovers. We would like to cause some turnovers there, which obviously pressure would add to that. And but what we got to do is just we got to remain in the frame of what we're doing. Trust the process, and when technique and opportunity to meet, those big splash plays are going to happen. What we can't do is start reaching for things, trying other things, getting outside of the box, and then that's when we'll start giving up big plays and give up touchdowns that we're not supposed to.
I think it was Grady who a few weeks ago said, when it came to sacks and pressure, don't panic, we're not, but there is a sense of urgency. At what point does it reach, not panic, but all right, we got to switch something up because this isn't working? If the progress stops.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I'm a glass half full guy, and we see the result. We see what the process looks like, from training camp all the way up until now, and there's just not a world where I see that happening.
Jimmy, we were talking with Raheem earlier this week about Rook and Brandon, kind of bringing them along slowly, and Raheem's philosophy, and I assume this is yours too, is like that's kind of it's a grown man position, like the interior of the line. Can you talk about that and how those two guys are progressing, and you think we'll see more of Brandon Dorless, this season?
Yeah, I think to your point, I think is what Raheem was probably saying as well. Whether it's an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman or outside linebacker, those players take longer to get used to this speed and to get used to the strength that you need and the reads that you need. And so it takes a little while for those guys to develop. We talked, I think, last week about, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, about Rook's progression and how his progression earned him the right to go out there and get some snaps. And now you've seen every single week he's gotten more snaps, and you'll see him getting even more snaps as we move forward. Brandon's on the same track. He's on the same track. You see him showing up and causing havoc on the scout team defense against our offense. And we make note, and we watch all that stuff every single day. And he's right on track. And whether it's due to injury or, which happens obviously in this league, and it's going to happen, it's a thing that will never not happen, or just through his development, he continues to show up. Brandon, again, will earn the right to get some reps here at some point during this season.
What was it that you guys saw in Rook in practice that made you say, like, all right, it's his time?
He was making life hell on our starting offensive line. That's what he was doing. He was in the backfield. He was shock locking, sending the offensive line back in the backfield, our starting offensive line. And so, it wasn't doing every single play, but it was showing up enough where if you're doing against our starting offensive line, that's probably going to translate over to our opponent in a real game, and it certainly has.
Rook is a guy that only started playing football, I think, his junior year of high school. Do you still see like a lot of hey, the ceiling is still pretty far for this guy? For sure. And first, just from above the neck for him. So smart, so engaged, so into football, and when you have players like that are so into it, and you just know that they can reach new heights every single day, and from week to week. So he just got to continue that fire in his belly to keep getting better, which I know he will. You see like comparisons with other people that maybe you played before in Rook, like that. He can be this kind of player.
Oh boy. I'll wait. Yeah, I'll wait to have some comparisons, but I think he does have a unique skill set in that he's so athletic for how big he is and how strong he is. But I'll wait for the comparisons. Let's get him go out there and make some more splash plays and get some production before we I start pointing to some comparisons to players that have played really great football in this league.
Fair enough. Do you envision D'Angelo Malone getting some more reps with the edges or on the regular first team defense?
Yeah, it's his role right now. His primary role is obviously on special teams, which he dominates at a high level, and is a huge bonus for our team. What he does for us, for Marquise, and obviously the rest of our team. And then he still keeps up with stuff on the defense. At this point right now, that wouldn't happen right now. But eventually, again, just like the Brandon conversation, when he earns that right, and also maybe through attrition, that could be a possibility.
Justin and Jesse stepped up after the game to kind of point fingers at themselves and take accountability. I'm just curious what you've seen from their leadership this week specifically.
This week specifically, their leadership. I mean, first start with Jesse Bates. Obviously one of our defensive captains, one of our team captains. He leads by example. He's got high character. No excuses, no explanations. He would never, point the blame at anybody else. The first thing he would do is he would take ownership of it. And then you got to have a guy, Justin Simmons, who's also a big time leader, and. When you got two guys like that, but we have more leaders than that. You just talked about those two guys, but we have a bunch of leaders on defense that lead the way by example, lead the way by the way they prepare every single day, by the way they come to bring it every single day in practice, the way they deal with hard things, a tough loss, and how they're able to carry themselves, and the younger players can look up and say, okay, that's how a professional athlete handles this. These are competitive, tough environments. No one likes to lose, but the way they've handled themselves, our younger players see that, and that's going to make us better.
Do you have a moment you can remember where you really felt that? Like maybe it was like, I don't know, Monday a lot of guys talked about how there was a look in the mirror type of, review of the film. Like what was that like in there with their leadership?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, really, totality of everybody took ownership of anything that went wrong, something that they thought they could have done better, coaches included. And so that's one of the characters that we preach on defense is no excuses, no explanations, and having that accountability. And we're going to go through really fun times, which we've already gone through, but we're also going to go through some tough times. And I tell these guys all the time, we're either, hey, about to go into a storm, we're in a storm, or we're just coming out of a storm. And that's how this NFL season is. It's tough. It's tough. It's not all rainbows and roses and flowers, and that's not the way it is. And we're building up some resiliency right now, some toughness, some scars that are healing over, and it's making us tougher. It's making us stronger.
Is it easier or more difficult to game plan for this, given the fact that y'all only faced the Bucs 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's. I think if you ask both coaching staffs, I would say it's probably more difficult. It's more difficult. I think we just saw them, they saw us. We got them on this. Are we going to do that again? Are we going to do something else? And same thing. Hey, this play worked. Well, now, they think they're going to run this play, and we think they're not going to run that play. So I think it's actually a little bit more difficult. And I bet the Bucs staff with all three phases would say the same thing. But that's the nature of playing division football in the NFL. You're going to play these guys twice. Whether it was 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, we're going to play this opponent again. And that's what makes these divisions in the NFL so fun because you get to see each other twice, once at home, once away, and let the best team win.
And like you said at the start, the Falcons are atop the division right now.
I didn't say that, but are they? I didn't check that. Are they on the top? I like that. Okay, great.
Broad question, but
yes.
I asked Zach this last week, so I'm curious to get your perspective really on it. Raheem is just, he's been around the NFL so long, been around such great players and coaches for so long. He has, absorbed so much about football. And as somebody who's kind of in charge of the defense, how do you see him offering his perspective or his ideas while still allowing you to have autonomy to kind of do things?
Oh, he's been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. And I've seen him through all three phases. He's so knowledgeable through all three phases with Marquise, with Zach. Obviously he's coached special teams. Talk about Raheem. He's coached on offense. He's coached on defense. He is an extreme asset that all of us coaches have on offense, special teams, and defense. And so whether it's he's in our meeting and gives his 2 cents, sees something, hey, what about this? Or, hey, that was really good. Maybe we can expand on that and do this. It's an awesome resource that we have right here in the building.
Coach, you established a defensive plan. You put it in place, and you've watched your defense evolve as the season has moved forward, and you've expressed confidence in the process. With that being said, I'm curious, with football being a game of execution and adjustments, when you see that something is either evolving slower than you planned or not at all, what's your approach or what's your process in terms of making those adjustments? If you see something first half and you're like, hey, we need to change this, we need to switch this. Like, what's your approach with that?
Okay, yeah, it's a pretty broad question, but how I would answer that is work works. Work works. And so what I mean by that is we got to go put the work in of whatever, issues are that we feel like we need to get better at. Then we go work at it. We go out and practice and we work on it. We go walk through it and then we work on it. And work works. So you work at something and you put attention to it, then all of a sudden you're going to get the results that you're trying to obtain.
So to that same point, in real time, in a game, if you go in at halftime.
Yes.
And there's some things that you're implementing that aren't working, right?
Right.
is your approach more to sticking to the plan, until it works, or are you more likely to say, hey, let's change this, let's adjust this, let's make adjustments or changes? That's really
Right. So these things happen after drives, not halftime. This is in game. These are in game adjustments. So it could be first, second down, third, whatever it is. We hold them to a field goal. We get to the sideline. There's an adjustment being made right then and there. That happens every single game, not just on defense. That's special teams. That's offense. Hey, here's what they're trying to do. This is what they have planned this game. We're going to revert and we're going to do this. We thought they were doing this, but now we're going to change it to this. This isn't the 1960s and it's like, hey, let's wait till halftime and then we're drawing up new plays at halftime. This is in-game adjustments. We see it live. We have a big coaching staff. We have the iPads. We can see what they're trying to do, and then we will move things and change things during the quarter, and then even into the second half, even into the third quarter. Now they've done this. Okay, now we got to respond this way. We got to change this, and that's all three phases, not just defense.
What can be the benefits of playing a matchup, like we're talking about, you guys are at the top of the division, a matchup of this magnitude this early in the season? What's the benefit of that? Justin said he prefers to have something like this early in the season.
Yeah. I guess I honestly haven't really thought of it that way. It's just the schedule's already out there, and so now we're trying to win every single game that's on our schedule, but also we're trying to definitely win the games in our division. We know how important those are in terms of possibly having a post-game game. So this was already, whatever the results were before, this was already like, hey, this is going to be a big game because it's a division game. And so I guess, I'm sorry if that's not the answer you wanted, but that's how I look at it. Yeah.
Coach, when you say that you're saying, your defense is saying there's no excuses, right?
Accountability. Yep.
Accountability.
Yep.
Right? So in the event where you've got, and it happens, where you've got guys that are getting doubled, or what have you, which means there's somebody else along the line, who's getting that single, are your expectations that somewhere along this line somebody has got to win a matchup, and what happens right when that's not happening? So you've got maybe your guy who you're really leaning on, who's drawing double teams consistently, but you're not getting anything from anywhere else on the line. Like what then?
What are you talking? Are you talking about? Run game, pass game? Are you talking about our D line? What are you referring to? Okay, yeah. Someone's always going to be doubled every single play, and so there's 5 offensive linemen. Every once in a while, there won't be if we create something, but that's the nature of football, and that's the nature of how you play defense and how you play offense. And so, sometimes we'll know where that double team is, sometimes we won't, but that's every single play. That's every single play, and we teach how to defeat a double team, how to win a single, obviously if you're singled, but that's going to happen every single play.
You just worry about what y'all got to do. And identifying those, the new receivers for the Buccaneers?
Well, the first thing is that, their NFL roster, and anybody who's on the NFL roster can be really good. I've watched those young guys that they played, especially 10 who played last year. We played against them, and then they drafted 15 this year. And then early in the year, he played a lot. So it's not like he's a stranger to the game. And then I know Shepard. Everybody knows Shepard been a really good football player at a lot of places. So, all those guys want to do is get out on the football field. And when they get out there, it's not like they're young or they're this or that. They just want to go play. So that's what we got to do. We got to make sure we're playing at our level and not so much worry about what they're going to do, because I'm pretty sure if you're on the NFL roster, they just want a chance to go out there and prove that they could actually be on this level.
What have you seen from the leadership from Justin and Jesse specifically this week after falling flat a little bit?
Well, the big thing we kind of talked about is, explosive plays, especially in our area. And when you're in a position to make a play, we need to continue to do that. I think that's what they were kind of talking about, going back and getting the football out the air, not being a little bit timid. Hey, look, if this happens, we got to go get the ball. And I think that was one of the things that, it's a learning lesson for what we had to do last week, going up against a good receiver core. Quarterback was hot. And, that's the thing that talk to guys about, hey, go challenge receivers. It doesn't matter who they are. And I think that's what we got to get back to, and that's what Jesse and them been talking about.
A lot of guys kind of talked about that there's been an emphasis more so on communication and being intentional with the details. Just what does that look like in the meeting room?
Well, to me, every place I've ever been, I always talk to guys, a loud defense is a great defense. Because everybody's talking, everybody understands what's going on, and everybody understands what the next guy next to him is doing. And so if you're really shy and you're quiet, you don't know what the guy's thinking next to you. So you go back and you look at all the Baltimore Ravens defenses, as great as they were with Ray Lewis, those guys were loud. They were talking, they were communicating, they were understanding, and then they go out there and play physical. So when you look at defenses that are really, really good, they talk like that. They talk pre-snap. And then when they get on the sideline, they're talking about, hey, this is what I seen, this is what I seen. So they're constantly communicating and then making adjustments during the course of the game. And that's what I think a really good defense is. That's what you got to get back to doing. We communicate early, then guys, you got to get settled in, and guys don't talk a lot, but they're back to that. Hey, let's talk, let's communicate, let's be loud. Hey, if somebody asks you a question, be bold with your questions and your answers, because they want to know you're confident. And that's what I think loudness breeds in football.
I think before the season was really talking about wanting to step up as a vocal leader. How have you seen that progress so far?
Well, one of the things is he doesn't talk in front of the group, but when there's something that needs to go on, he will say his piece. He'll talk about, hey, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Compared to where he were last year, he was new to the group. They were trying to figure him out. Okay, I had to work to prove that I'm going to be a good player. Now I am that player that everybody expects me to do. So he expects himself to be good, but he also expects himself that, hey, I want everybody else to raise their level up. So communicating, doing the things you need to do is really what he's trying to get everybody to do.
Coach, from the perspective of someone who's coached defensive backs for a very long time, what kind of matchup problems does a guy like Kyle Pitts kind of present to DBs?
Well, I mean, you're talking about a big guy who has receiver skills, who can body you out, make the catches, and then, you surround him with other guys, and now you got to say, okay, how do I pick my poison? It's just not Kyle Pitts. I got to contend Mooney and Drake and Ray, and then I got to have maybe my 2 or 3 best corners on those guys. I mean, I'm not saying put your best player, but now you got to step up with your next guy. So do you have 4 good DBs? Do you have 5 good DBs to go out there and play against these guys that actually are playing at a good level?
Is that kind of like a matchup nightmare when you're a coach on defense?
Oh, yeah, because trust me, you better be getting ready to play dime, and if you play dime, if they run the ball, can your dime handle the run game? So now, because we put in a DB that can handle him, but can your guy that can handle him as a cover guy, can he handle the run game? So now you're trying to match up that way too.
It's the size and the speed too, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Jerry, you talk about loud defenses, which reminded me of Richie. How do you see him in the way that he's kind of progressed this season? Obviously, he has less opportunities, but he seems to be playing pretty well when he's out there. And just how do you take advantage of the skills that
Well, to me, I think it's confidence. Richie, like you said, he is confident in what he's doing. I think he's a lot more speaking the way you want him to speak as far as a football player. Now he knows I can go out there and play at this level. Even though he started a couple of years, I think sometimes when you're a young guy, you really don't know what you expect to do. Hey, I started in the NFL. Well, it's different now. I want to be on a winning team in the NFL. I want to be on a Super Bowl team in the NFL. And now he understands that. And his role is going to get better. We expect Richie. We put you out there. We expect no letdown, and I think he expects that of himself now. And, he had a couple of rushes. I think 2 weeks ago. Got to the quarterback, got his hand, got a pressure. So to me, we expect Richie to do those type of things when he's out there, not just say, "Hey, I'm a backup safety." Nope, you're a third safety on this team, and you still a starter.
I remember last year you were talking, I think, about Jeff Okudah and how you just were having these kind of informal meetings, coffee, whatever it is. Do you have, are there players that you just kind of, that sit down with you in your office, or that you just kind of have that kind of one-on-one time with to, I don't know, bond or talk football or whatever?
Yeah. We're right now we're doing it with a couple of young guys, to get them up to speed, to understand what they're doing. It's not always, hey, let's go watch film. It's like, hey, how's life? What are you doing here? How do you think? Because what you think about outside also affects what you think here. So we kind of think about, talk about a couple of those things. There's a couple of young guys that we're doing, and they're actually getting better. You see them week to week to week, they're actually getting better.
Do you initiate that, or they come into your office and they want to talk about life?
Well, last year, I had to initiate a lot. And then this year, they're like, okay, well, we know who Jerry is. We know he's a guy that's actually done this, this, and this. So now they want to know, hey, tell me about what you did when you played. Tell me about this. So I always deflect and go right back to, okay, this is what we need to do here. And because to me, I don't want them thinking about trying to play like me. I want you to play like you. And then if you tell me how you think I can help you play better, a better you than trying to play like I was.
In the game on Sunday, you guys did get a little bit more pressure. It looked
Mm-hmm.
like you guys did have a lot of success there in that regard. How much do you take out of that in that you can grow in that area, and just what did you like about what you saw on Sunday?
Yeah, when you look back, the thing that I seen our guys do is really with getting after the quarterback. Now we didn't get a lot of hits, we didn't get a lot of sacks, but we seen a guy getting off the spot. So that does buy time, and that's the thing that we want those guys to see. That don't take a look at what we didn't do. Look at what we did do. We actually got the quarterback off the spot. He was ducking, he was running, and then every quarterback is not going to be as athletic as Geno. So hopefully now you get some guys who are not as athletic, you get those guys down. So don't lose sight that they didn't do a really good job of getting the sacks, but we did get more pressure. We did do the things that we need to do, and just keep going with that with the process.
How much do you emphasize that when it comes to facing a quarterback like Baker who gets the ball out really quick?
Yeah, big time, because now it's going to be on the coverage. So, okay, if he's going to get the ball out that fast, what are we doing coverage-wise that make him hold it a little bit? So if we can do something coverage-wise, and now all of a sudden he pumps one time, he pumps again, now the guys get there. So now this game, to me, is really going to be rushing coverage going hand in hand.